Hi guys, my name is Anthea. I'm an Australian. I've been talking to some people that I know from America, and they kind of don't really understand either what I'm saying, based on the language that I'm using and some of the culture things, differences between our countries. So, basically, it inspired me to think about like what really differences are there between particularly Australia and America. But I guess it works for other countries as well. So this is basically what I'm calling an Aussie education. So I have made a list of misconceptions that is really with Australia. So here we go. Firstly, I have been to the States quite a few times, and on more than one occasion, people go, "Oh, hi, how are you? Are you from England, from the UK?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm from Australia." They're like, "Oh, Australia, wow, that's a really long way away. Man, you actually speak really good English for an Australian." I'm sorry. Thank you very much. That is my first language. It is my only language, and I'm glad that you can understand me. Um, yes, English is Australia's first language, our main language, and there are Indigenous people who speak their language um, primarily and then speak English as their second language. Um, So that does happen, but majority of people speak English as their first language. So next time you see an Australian, don't comment about their English. Just a heads up. Another thing is that we do not live in the outback. Um, there are people that do. There's about 1% of the population that live in the outback. Majority of us live in towns and cities, mainly across the whole border of Australia. Um, yes, so we don't live in the outback with all the animals, and we don't eat tucker and all that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, when you think about it, our population is about 24 million. Only 1% of those living in the outback is not a lot of people. So, yeah. Another thing is kangaroos and koalas. You all seem to think that we ride our kangaroos to school or work. We own kangaroos, we see them every day. We really don't. There are parts of Australia where kangaroos like to live more than others. Um, they particularly, you'll see them in the zoo, obviously, but they particularly live on golf courses. It's a really great place for them. It has everything that they need, or big open areas more away from cities. It's not very common that you will see them in cities. I've never seen one in the city. So, yeah, we don't really see them that often, and we don't ride them, and we don't own them. And same thing with koalas. They're not just in the trees in our backyard. No, um, they're in forests, in the gum trees, right at the top, and you can't see them very much. So yes, that's another thing. So people come here and think they're gonna die because of sharks, snakes, and spiders, which seem to be the biggest worries you'll have. We have shark nets around majority of our main beach, or all of our main beaches, um, and majority of beaches. There are shark nets. Sometimes they do get through, but it is very easy to be spotted by a lifeguard, and then everyone will evacuate. It's not very often you will hear about a shark attack. Normally, it will only be if they're not swimming between the flags, um, that sort of stuff. So they will not kill you unless you provoke them or you're swimming in the wrong area. Just swim between the flags. Um, snakes, they're around in suburban areas sometimes. Not a lot, but you see them occasionally. Um, Again, they're not going to hurt you unless you provoke them, and some of them aren't even venomous. A lot of ones in suburban areas are just green tree snakes, and they're just doing their thing. They're not poisonous or anything, so they're all good. Spiders, they have most of them have venom in them that will not kill you, and you will not get attacked by a spider again unless you're poking it or prodding it. Very rare that they'll come up to you and bite you. So yes. Um, while we're on the topic of outside, sport is a huge thing in our culture. We love sport. We have cricket, yuck. We have rugby, league union, and AFL. So rugby league, rugby union, and AFL. So I just wanted to say this is not so much a misconception, but look at American gridiron players. Look at the protective gear they wear. They're all buffed up with their protective gear, They've got pads on everywhere. And then just Google rugby league players, rugby union players, AFL players, any of them. They all pretty much wear the same thing, which is some short shorts, a tight-fitted t-shirt or a tight-fitted singlet, and then just rugby boots and socks. That's it. And we have full-on tackling, which is big piles on. There are shoulder hits, like some people go, right, it gets pretty rough. And, they seem to take it pretty well. Like, there are heaps of injuries, but they take it. So that's always fun. So next time you're in Australia, come to a rugby game, see how it's actually played and how real men take it. And lastly, Foster's. You'll seem to think that Foster's is the Australian beer. Unfortunately, it's not even owned by an Australian company anymore. It's now owned by an American company. I wasn't even aware of Foster's beer until about a year ago. I was in the Caribbean and they said, have some Australian beer. And I said, oh, I don't know what that is. I don't know what Foster's is. Like, oh, it's Australian. You guys should know that. We don't drink Foster's here. If you want to drink an Australian beer while you're here, drink Victoria Bitter, VB, or 4X, something like that. Unless you're in a touristy bar, you will probably not really see Foster's around. So these are just a few bit of information on Australia, some misconceptions I want it cleared up. I'll make a few more videos. I have some Aussie slang that we probably use more than we should. And that sort of thing. So yeah, check back and I'll have something new up in a few weeks. But yeah, see you guys.